Hey guys, it's Despicable Bros here today. So I'm just gonna do a quick tutorial on the run cycle, and I know I promised this a while ago, but due to unfortunate events and busynesses in my life, I couldn't get around to it, but I'm getting around to it right now, so this won't be too long. Probably about 10 minutes, maybe even 5 minutes, something like that. I'm just gonna show you quickly just steps to make the run cycle, as I covered most of the tips and stuff, such as the ease in, ease out in my previous stuff, especially my walk cycle. That's why it's so long. For me, I think the run cycle is a lot easier, especially the fact that it's faster, and like I mentioned before too, is the person watching the video won't notice the errors or flaws as much in a run cycle, yet they will in some other ways, such as really with the run cycle, you gotta make sure you keep the pace and the same speed throughout the whole stride, and besides that, your audience won't notice anything as long as you make sure you keep the same stride and pace, and I'll show you what I mean by that in a few seconds. So here's a little preview of what we're going to be working with. So it's a little clip. This is really basic. Thing with run cycles, and I mean every animation movement, is you can change it. So like this is just kind of a very basic. I just did this really quickly. You could elaborate it, probably add in some more keyframes to make it a bit smoother. Up to you. You can make it slower, faster, like I said, whatever you want. So let's get started. I'm just going to continue off from where I left off, actually. So essentially the standard run cycle I like to use just in a normal situation, like a normal run, has I believe 6 parts, I think, maybe 5, I don't know, we'll count them out, but it has about 5 or 6 parts, and I'll also show you how I space them out and how much time I leave between each keyframe, and that's very important because it creates the stride. So the first one is always this. So you kind of just want to have, we'll just start with this pose. So this is the first pose, let's say, if you're starting. So simple, you want to have his knee really far forward, because what's just happened is he's come out of a stride, and if it's kind of low, it takes away from the effect. If it's down here, then it doesn't look like he really brought it up powerfully, like he's striding with a lot of strength. So you kind of want to bring it really high up, so it really looks like he's kind of whipping the leg up. So that's the first keyframe, and then what you're going to do is you're going to go 2 keyframes, and you're going to move it about a decent amount forward. You don't want to move it too fast because then it looks choppy, because it's only 2 keyframes. I mean, sorry, two frames. And then you kind of want to bend the leg a bit, so it's let me just fix that. You want to bend the leg a bit so you can kind of see it's coming out and getting ready to land, because right now this is the point where your guy is kind of hovering in the middle of the air. And let's just move it forward a bit more. So this should kind of have a direct path from where it left off, so just kind of measure that up. Oh, see, this will happen. I forgot to mention this. This is also very important. Every time your character, actually this is just a smart thing to do in general, but keyframe every movement your guy makes, especially when he leaves the ground, with a whole character, because otherwise what's happening is this foot right here wasn't actually keyframed. What was happening is that it was just following along this bone right here, the hip bone. This wasn't actually keyframed, it was just following along, so you have to keyframe that, otherwise it'll screw up. So yeah, just make sure it was keyframe that frame whenever you're leaving or entering the ground. So anyway, so we have this pose, it's first pose, so go 2 keyframes, and you're going to bring them a bit up and a bit forward, more forward than up, because he's really striding forward. Bring his leg kind of out a bit, like he's reaching out to land, and his leg, give it just a slight bend at the back, because he's still a bit straight from pushing off the ground. Yeah, so that's a bit too far, and you just kind of want to make sure it looks natural. So I'm just going to bring that back a bit. Alright, so, oops, play from here. You know, we can bring them up a bit more, and maybe a bit forward. Alright. Yeah, I think that looks alright. Remember, you can play around with it. I'm not going to spend too much time on the particulars. So then from here, you're going to go 2 keyframes, and you're just going to bring it the same amount you brought it. So we were about here when we took off, so we're going to be about here when we land, right? Because it keeps carrying forward. and you're going to place it. This is right when his foot comes in contact. So remember, I don't like to keep it perfectly straight just because it looks a bit snappy when it's played, but just kind of play around with it, and yeah, that looks alright. And his leg's going to now do this. It's going to come all the way up. So follow that. Yeah. So that, see, that looks good. I think I want to bring him a bit more forward. See, so just a quick side note, this what I mean by pace is that you can see, for example, let's just on purpose bring him really far back. If you got to keep everything the same so it flows. If, for example, like if I have the guy right on this keyframe all the way to this keyframe, he moves a certain distance. It's a pretty decent distance, right, from here to here. But if you have him move that far from here to there, and then all of a sudden he barely moves in the next keyframe, let me even exaggerate that further, like that, it really throws off the guy. Like if you watch it, yeah, you can tell like it kind of looks silly because he just slowed down. He didn't move the same distance that he was supposed to. So it should be equal, like I said before, equal to the distance from here to here to the middle and then down. So if you play that, yeah, way too far. Bring it back a bit. That's too far, but I mean, you get the idea. Bring it back a bit more. So just play around with it till you get something that you like. That looks alright. So then, now, this is where it gets different. You see how I have spaces in between on some of the keyframes and some spaces I don't? Wait, let me just check this out. What's going on here? Yeah, no, it's alright. Sorry, yeah, so then I have spaces in between here, but when you get to this keyframe right here, you only have one space now. So how I like to remember it is when he's kind of in the air, so from this point all the way, I'll start over here. So when he's from this point, when he lifts off right there, he's gonna be, yeah, that portion right there. So when he's in there right there, from there to there, from there to there, there's two spaces between each keyframe. So from this keyframe, 2 spaces to this, 2 spaces to this, 2 spaces to this, the landing, and then there's only 1 space because this movement right here, the leg swinging by, is quicker. It's not supposed to be slow like the leg flying through the air. So there's only 1 keyframe between these. So then same thing. So right here, same thing, 2 keyframes, 2 keyframes. Actually, I might have effed up there, but whatever. 2 keyframes, 2 keyframes, 2 keyframes, 2 keyframes on a touch, and then now there's only 1. And simply all you do is you just do a little crouch and move him a slightly bit forward. Sorry, a tiny bit forward. And maybe bring his leg down a bit. It's starting to swing under. And raise him up a bit too. You don't want him too low. Yeah, that's about good. Why is it doing that? Let me just delete that and replace, position that. So 1 keyframe forward, and he kind of crouches down a bit. Alright, and then 1 keyframe forward again, and now what you're going to do is for this keyframe, you're going to bring him all the way forward until the waist, the stomach is almost in line with the front knee, and you're going to bring this so it's kind of like tucked right under. 1 keyframe more, and the next one, again, you bring it a bit forward, so he's leaning, his waist should be a bit more forward and it's straightened up past the knee, and you're going to bring this so it's now peeking over and it's starting to come up, and then you go 2, let's check that, so compare it to the first one, yep, 2. So now here you're going to go, same thing, so we've reached this thing where his leg comes through and swings, that's the 1-1-1, so remember, once you get to this part, then all the way to the extension is, now bring him forward, and for the extension I like to bring him off the ground a little bit, like just to give him a bit of momentum. Yeah, just gives that feel that he's like kind of going forward. Alright, sweet. I think that works. So let's play that back quickly. Alright, now see, the problem was there is that I brought, see how it kind of looks like he's coming down really hard right here? That's just a combination of me putting him too low right here. Should probably put him like that. Yeah, and so he's way too low. So you want to make him. Yeah, that looks a lot better. So just don't make sure not put him too low, otherwise he looks like he's crouching down ridiculously low. It's kind of stupid. And even then, so this is what I mean again by flow. Sorry, is that you always want to keep it look like he's moving forward, and he's never halting. So here I didn't move him far enough, so he kind of looks a bit anticlimactic. But let's just move him a tiny bit more forward. All right, and remember, really bring that leg forward. And then so now remember we're in here. So once you hit this point, right here when he's about to take off, and then remember after this it's 2 keyframes now in the between. So when he's in there it's 2 keyframes. So now next one, same pose, which is the one in the middle one, when he's both feet are in the air. This one starts to stretch out. 2 more. We bring him over, bring the leg down. I'll bring that up. So let's touch him right there, and then this is coming down. I think he went way too high though. I brought him up too high. Just lower him a bit. Yeah, so I want to bring him a bit forward more, and then bring him a bit more forward. Right, so that should. Alright, and then so same thing, remember, as soon as he touches down, then it becomes 1, because he's now bringing his leg. This is the bring the leg through portion. So now we only do 1 keyframe. So this will kind of like the final review cycle. This is the last one. So first one, touches down, we have 1 keyframe. You're going to bring him to crouch, and you can bring his leg in a bit, and you can bring him forward slightly. Next one, he straightens up a bit, and his like the bottom of the foot or this kind of area kind of matches up in a line, and this foot comes down through. Next one, you bring him even farther forward. Waist is now past the foot right here, the tip, and you're gonna bring this foot is now kind of securely tucked under the body. No, sorry, it's a bit forward. Which one is the, sorry, yeah, sorry, this is the one where it should be coming in a bit already, and then this one is where it's slowly, it's starting to come out, and then this one, remember, we do 2 because now he's taking off. So you 2 keyframes, and we do him kind of taking off, and then we do 2 again because he's in the air, and we move to the middle pose. And let's just keyframe that whole character, so keyframes all the bones. Oh yeah, see? Yeah, I forgot to keyframe that, my bad. This is why you gotta keyframe right when he leaves the ground. That's my bad. Alright, so move him to the next one. Crouch. Bring in. Let's go through this quick. Bring it forward more. Alright, so keyframe this. And then have him come forward and I'll do stay. Perfect. And then have him 2 now because he's off the ground. Actually, sorry, that should have been 2. Just change that. When he leaves the ground, it's 2. So now we have 2 keyframes. So we do 2 keyframes. 2 now from here to here, then 2 more to the middle. Keep the momentum going, give him some distance. And usually the more someone, like the longer someone runs, the faster their strides will be. And then 2 more to finish it on the touchdown. And have his leg kind of right about there and bring him up so he's about to hit it. And bend that leg in. See how that looks. Well, that's alright. So I mean, you can see how it's a bit choppy. Like it looks a bit, like especially when he crouches down right here. The reason is just because I made him way too low. It's just an accident. I'm not gonna go back and fix all of them, but right here when he touches down, Just don't make them so low. Just fix the lowness and it should look a lot better. But essentially, so this is a simple run cycle. Just go over the quick things. You've got the touchdown. From the touchdown, there's one keyframe to that one keyframe to the bringing the foot under, one keyframe to bringing the knee past the waist, one keyframe to the fully stretched out, and then two keyframes to the fully stretched out, then two keyframes again because he's in the air, two more keyframes to the contact, and then one keyframe to compression, which is right there. Oh yeah, I forgot to keyframe, but sorry, one keyframe to compression, which would be like that. Bring him down a bit, and then another one, bring him forward, should be down again, and then yeah. So yeah, that's the run cycle. So that is, I think that's 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so from contact to contact, that is 7 keyframes. And yeah, that's it. Also, just for some people, if you want to know, someone asked me to show them the depth of focus thing in Blender, so I'm just going to open up a file real quick. So you gotta select the camera, go into the camera option tab, and down here you want to click on limits, and this will basically show you this little cross, and you want to kind of place that cross. You can either focus on a certain object. I don't think this works with the way I do it. I like to do my way because it's manual and you can kind of adjust everything for yourself, because sometimes Blender will glitch out. So I don't recommend using that the way I set my nodes. Maybe you can use it a better way, but what I do is you just adjust you can see I can move the distance of the cross, and you kind of want to find a point where it's on the general plane of, and just a bit before the object you want to focus on. So anything in that plane along this line will be focused in, and everything else will be focused out. So once you set that up, that's all you have to do for that. Then what we want to do is for the nodes, just go into your nodes editor. I've set up some nodes already, but so you're going to hit use nodes, backdrop, auto render. You already have a render layer and a composite, I believe. Yeah. All you want to do is came back to it. You're going to go into filter, add your defocus node, and you're going to drag your Z down, and I also forgot your image. That's what was screwing me over. I wasn't being very smart. And then bring your image to over image here. Change that wherever you want. I like hexagonal. You don't really have to you don't have to mess with that right now. Change this from preview to UZ buffer, and now what you want to do is you're gonna have to match. Just play this number. You're gonna play this number and maybe max blur. And max blur is not as important. It kind of just changes the amount of blur. So for example, if you want something to be really blurry as opposed to kind of blurry, you could change that. But usually 16 to 10 is a good range to keep it at, depending on what you want though. And then you're gonna play around with this, and depending on where you put it, that just really depends on your plane of focus, depending on where you put the limitation marker here, right? So you kind of want to find a perfect match between being focused on this and not on this. So generally speaking, the lower this is, the closer it is to the camera. So let's put like 10. Actually, let's do 8. Because I mean, we're only a couple meters, like 7 meters away from here, the camera and the cube. So let's do that. And if you render it out, you should see, there we go. Wunderbar. And that is simple. That's focus node.